Hello, and welcome to Film Slam Stream's post-film conversation for lives. My name is Eric Siler. I am a professor of film, media arts, and communications, as well as moderator for this conversation. We're very pleased to be joined by the producer, director, actor of the film Lies. Joining us from California is Monique Rosario. Monique, hello and welcome.
Hello, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Eric.
Well, thank you for taking time out to join us today to talk about this important film. I know this film was made about 3 years ago, but it's very timely now. Can you talk about what inspired you to actually make this film?
Yes, thank you. Well, actually, are you familiar with the novel To Kill a Mockingbird?
I am. I'm sure many students are as well.
Right. Well, this novel has an amazing message in there that you don't really understand someone unless you kind of jump into their skin and try and see things from their perspective. And at the time of creating this film, I was really feeling sort of just an unrest in myself about some of the angst around race issues and relative to law enforcement, and having, obviously, being a woman of color and having two brothers who are like amazing Black men, and then also having friends who have served in law enforcement. I felt like there's something that I could do as an artist to open up a more productive conversation.
Well, that's really good because there's a lot of art that's done around social justice issues. Let's look at the production of this. Um, This was done, as you told me before we started, in an old school building that was scheduled for demolition. How many days of filming did you work in this old school building?
Well, we had 3 long nights of filming. We would come after everything was shut down, and then we would just stay and film for 4 or 5 hours till about 3 or 4 a.m.
Okay, yes, it shows that you worked really hard at the film. You had the characters in the film. The police officer was played by Drew Harwood. I understand he's a friend of yours, someone you worked with before.
Yes, Drew and I actually worked on a film called Drifter together, and we attended the same acting school, Playhouse West in Hollywood.
Okay, and the person that played the older man, Scott Punkert, I believe,
Yeah.
is he a friend of yours as well?
Yes, Scotty is a very, very good friend. He and I met at another acting studio in Santa Barbara. And actually, I just remember that he also attended the same school that Drew and I went to. But he's a local 805 guy, and just became very interested in film later in life, and so he's going for it.
Well, that's good to know. You mentioned later in life because a lot of times in films, you find younger people to play the role of older people and use a lot of makeup. But Scott is really an older gentleman, or is he a younger person that you made up?
Scott, I hope he hears this, is an older gentleman. And I value that in him because I actually have a few friends who are older, and there's just something about those years that they carry, the insight, and just there's a generosity he's able to bring to the role because he's been through stuff, and there's a compassion, and the person playing that role really had to have compassion, and Scott really conveys that through his eyes. So I was just really, really thankful for him to come out and be there with us very, very late at night.
Well, that's good that you were able to do that and use someone authentic to help carry out that role. And one thing, one thing you mentioned about Scott earlier is you said he's 805. I know that's a union. Can you explain that to our viewers, what you about the union that he's in and how that works?
Yeah, sure. Actually, 805, I don't know why I'm talking like everybody knows this, but 805 refers to our area code.
Oh,
It's
okay.
area that's north of LA. So I'm talking about like Ventura County, Santa Barbara County. Um, yeah, pretty much that area. But he resides in Camarillo, and so among the 805 artists, you know, it's a very small kind of tight network. So you really get to know who the other actors are, who the filmmakers are, and we just try to create cool stuff together.
All right, that's good to know. So like a union, a united people in 805, you
Yeah.
know, and that area code. That's interesting to know. Let's look at more of the production elements of the film. Well edited, took a lot of time. Your talented editor, Ryan Slattery, did a really amazing job. Can you talk about your working relationship with Ryan and how you became to know him to work on this project?
Sure. Ryan is another 805 filmmaker. Um, he usually directs and DPs, and we had seen each other's work and we knew that we wanted to work together when we were at the Santa Barbara Film Festival. And so he mentioned to me, hey, you know, I have this amazing access to the location that's going to be ripped down. You know, we kind of carte blanche to just shoot in there undisturbed for, you know, a certain amount of time. And so we decided to go ahead and do the project. And the thing with Ryan is that we both share a sense of like style. So there was just a natural, you know, collaborative excitement that was generated between the two of us. And he really respected my storytelling ability. So he let me be very involved with the editing process, which is necessary because it's such a unique film, and the placement of a quote and the timing was all. I mean, so it was almost like conducting a song.
Yeah, that leads me to my next question. Yes, you were the orchestra director in this of all the elements. So the elements you had in there, you had the music, of course, and you had the sound effects as well. And can you talk about these elements and how they contributed to it? Or why did you choose the We Shall Overcome? Why did you choose to have the electricity sound effects and so forth, and to help tell the story?
Sure. Well, I mean, it's a layered answer. I can quickly say that in university, I studied English writing and I did a lot of poetry. And so that was really like, I remember in high school doing found poems where you would take a section of text and you would just pick words and phrases, and then you'd organize them into a poem by line breaks and with punctuation. You would reinvent it to create your own piece of art. And so I saw some of that part of myself in the approach to this project, where I'm not I'm not this politically driven person. I really care about telling a human story, and my desire is to encourage people, to inspire people, to give hope, and to lift people up and bring people together. And so I thought the best way to do that was just to put out images and sounds that called out the best of us and also touched us in the places where we were already feeling wounded. And I just try to put all of that together so that the audience can have an experience that hopefully took them to a hopeful place and maybe give them a sense of maybe seeing things, or just stepping into that To Kill a Mockingbird idea of being willing to put themselves in someone else's skin and see it differently.
Yeah, I like what you just said. You wanted people to have an experience, and this is a film in which you will want people to watch more than once to catch certain elements to help with that experience. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. With that, I just want to remind everyone we are talking with the director of Lives, Monique Rosario. We're about halfway through our conversation with her. If you have questions, please put put them in the Q&A portal and we'll get to them as time allows. And we do have one question that's come in. Someone wants to know is, why did you have the police officer and the woman constantly switch roles?
That's a great question. Thanks for asking. Well, the poet in me wants to say, well, why do you think I did that? But I think that the real enemy in this film, I don't think it's either the woman or the police officer. I would say that there is a third kind of invisible enemy. And so by having the man and the woman change places, I think that heightens it, but also it goes to our, that initial theme of To Kill a Mockingbird that I mentioned, when you need to be able to put yourself into someone else's skin and try and see things differently. And, in film, you can do that just with some editing. So it's definitely intentional.
I thought it was. Another question we have coming in is, what was the role of the old man? Was he there to be the storyteller? So I guess they want to know your intentions for him in the film.
Yeah, well, this is interesting for me because when I was studying university in poetry, one of the rules was we would put our work out there and it was read, and then we never could defend it, we never could explain it. We would sit and we would listen to the audience and what they got from it. And so as far as what the old man represents, I think it's going to represent something different to different audience members. And I actually don't know that I served the film well to just define it outright. So I'm actually going to pass on that one.
All right, that's fair enough.
Thank you.
Fair enough. And just to add to that, at the end, the older man says, do you know you possess the power to change the ending? So is that the overall message you want to try to send to the viewers, that they have the power within to change how things could have happened or can happen?
Yeah, I will say that is absolutely a theme that you will see throughout my body of work, is the power of people to choose and to make a choice that can actually change things. Like we actually have, like, we're not victims, but we actually have the power to make things better by just our choices. So I definitely think that is something that's I would like the audience to be able to take away from watching this film.
Okay, well, good. Here's a really interesting question. What genre would you consider this film? Would it be sci-fi? And also, do you have any plans to make this into a feature?
That's a good question. I think that I would put this more into a experimental category. I think if I had to pick from traditional genre, I would say maybe a psychological thriller. I could sci-fi. I don't think so, because we're not really dealing with scientific elements. We're dealing with sort of spiritual elements. As of yet, there are no plans to make it into a feature film. I actually think it might be hard to sustain that as a feature-length film. You have to really develop, and you have to justify the world. That's one of the reasons why I like the short form, is that you can do a lot more with a lot less. Thanks for those questions.
Oh, sure. Keep the questions coming in. One question I have for you, we talked about this before we began the interview, was you chose to have a woman to be the character in the film instead of having a man of color and a white police officer? Why did you choose to have a woman as opposed to a man?
Sure. Well, I mean, whenever you're, as a filmmaker, there's always practical, and then there's, the storytelling, make sure that you're honoring the message of what you're trying to tell. And so from a practical purpose, I could do the role and I knew the vision that was in my heart to convey. And so that was like skipping a step and making things easier. But the reason why I felt justified in making that choice was because, first of all, like going back to the To Kill a Mockingbird theme of you don't really know someone unless you get inside of their skin. Like the emphasis was about, skin color in this one, as opposed to necessarily gender. And also I think that having a woman, especially a smaller woman, you get it, even more of a sense of vulnerability that, that the person of color is feeling. Like I feel like, that just, and also just, it already gets the audience to see something in a different way, because we're doing something a little bit different than what you'd expect. And that alone can kind of jog your brain and make you have to look at things in maybe a different way.
It really does. And I like the fact
But
that, yeah, it does make you think. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and this would be something that, that you might want to think about as aspiring filmmakers, is for this film, how might you have cast it differently? How would you might have cast the old man's role? I mean, think about how it would have changed if you'd have cast that with a little kid, like what might that look like? And so I really enjoy questions like that. So.
Yes, those questions can be, help with the comprehension of the film. And a couple minutes that we have left, can you talk about how this film has been received? What has the general reaction been to this film?
Yeah, I think that people have communicated that they've really been touched by the film, that it seems to have brought some healing. I know that Ryan showed it to some of his police officer friends, and they also felt understood by it. And so I think that, I just think that overall it has helped to bring people together, and it's facilitated a conversation, which was a goal for me, being able to talk about seeing things from the other person's perspective, instead of making it about us versus them.
How true, how true. And one thing you did at the end of the film, you had a blank space, the word lives, and another blank space. What words should go in those blank spaces? Or you want the viewers to fill that in?
That's a good question. I think that is something that the viewers can fill in. But I've given you the most important word, I think, so I will say that.
And the most important word, oh yes, lies, that's the most important word. Exactly. And yeah, it's good to have that open ending to spark conversation, because no matter what words you put there, there's going to be conversation about it, whether you put, black, blue, all, or whatever you put at the end, and so that's good to do. And I see you're a filmmaker that you want people to think. You just don't want to just lay everything out there. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
Facilitate a conversation.
Exactly. And speaking of facilitating conversations, are you working on anything now that could facilitate a conversation in the future?
Ooh, I am. I'm probably working on my most daring project yet. It's a 3-part sci-fi miniseries, legit sci-fi. So for you
Okay.
fans out there, the goal is to make that into a graphic novel first, and then I'll be pitching that. But I also have a short. I wrote a children's book that helps young people deal with grieving, and so I'm in the process of turning that into a play slash short film. And then I am working on with an amazing a playwright out of the UK on a uh, musical. It's about it's called Jubilee, Stand Up to the Stars, and it's about a woman who is audacious enough to go after her dream. Um, so yeah, I'm excited. Got some exciting things going. Trying to take the most make the most opportunity out of this COVID crazy lockdown madness and just make stuff.
Yeah, this is certainly the time that you can, dedicate towards making things. So we're excited to see what comes next for you, and your true sci-fi types of work. Do you plan to work with with Drew and Scott again and Ryan in your future projects?
I'm always happy to work with any of those guys. Those guys are so talented and very generous to work with. Scotty and I have talked about doing some stuff together, and hopefully that'll be coming soon. But yeah, those are my friends, so hopefully.
Yes, you're part of the 805, as you say.
The exception
Well,
of Drew. He's
okay,
so
so
cool.
okay, but he's welcome anytime, I'm sure. Well, Monique, it was a pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to lend us some insights and education about your film, and we wish you all the best. Are there any parting words, anything you would like to say to our students regarding either your film or career or just anything in general?
Oh, first of all, thank you so much. This has been an absolute privilege to be a part of this. And I just want to encourage students that are, at home or, I don't know if you guys are going back to school yet, if you're just doing your thing, but just to create, go ahead and make stuff. However small, whoever sees it, just make stuff because I think creating actually makes you a better person. It makes you a happier person, and it'll help you discover more who you are as you just boldly go and make awesome stuff.
Some really sound and great advice. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
And thank you to our students for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed this important and invigorating conversation. For more information about the upcoming 45th Cleveland International Film Festival, please continue to follow us on social media or visit clevelandfilm.org. I'm Eric Siler. Thank you.